Now think about this for a moment. There's a moment in Halloween Resurrection. Well, maybe it takes place between H2O and Resurrection, which I guess it kind of does, but who the hell cares? There's a moment when Michael Myers, presumably, is buck fucking naked. Just everything flailing in the wind. And if you happen to walk by at that exact moment and peer your head in, you'd be thinking to yourself, what the fuck is going on in there? Halloween Resurrection. It's a fucking shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. Mood and atmosphere. No, it's fucking garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. In this video, I want to talk about Halloween Resurrection. Now, for many of you, this is a long time coming. So why do I want to talk about this now? Well, there's really no reason. I just felt like fucking doing it. Listen, I was 23 years old when Halloween Resurrection came out in 2002, and I saw it in the movie theater. I cannot, for the life of me, remember if I was excited, if I was looking forward to it. I have no idea. I've been pretty consistent with how I feel about the Halloween series ever since I was, well, a young teenager, even a preteen. I mean, I've been pretty consistent on my knowledge of the series and what I like about the series and what I don't like about the series. So I probably went to see it because there was nothing else to do. You're 23 years old. It's the summertime. Why not go fucking see Michael Myers for a couple of hours? So that's probably why. And I do own the movie. Now you ask yourself, well, if you hate the movie so much, why do you fucking own it? Why do you fucking own it, McRae? Ha ha! See, you like it because you own it. Or you did like it and now you've changed your tune. No, that's not why. I'll tell you why. Back in 2002, when the movie came out, of course, this is long before social media. This is long before there was ever a box set of all the Halloween films. And this was long before ordering things online. And so at that time, at 23, I was a bit of a completist when it came to certain series, and I wanted to own all of the Halloween movies, even the ones I didn't like, just so I had the set. And of course, if you wanted to do that way back in 2002, you had to purchase each film individually because there was no box set to purchase at that time. So that's why I own it. But to be honest with you, I actually have not watched the movie in probably about 15 years. Honest to goodness, because I think it's a dog shit show of a movie. It's not just a shit show. It is a dog shit show of a movie. Now, why dog shit, you ask? Well, it might be the time of year. You know, I was out for a run the other day and, you know, spring is beginning to seep into the greater Toronto area here. And, you know, we've had a few days that haven't been too bad, been kind of cool, but not bad, but the snow is beginning to melt. And all you lazy bastards out there that like to take your little dogs or your big dogs or your medium dogs for walks in the wintertime think it's perfectly fine to let your dog shit in the snow and not pick it up. Why? Because the snow covers it up. Nobody knows. I don't feel as guilty. I'm out here, the snow, he's kicking it, you know, the dog's kicking it, it covers it. But what happens in the springtime? Oh, everything begins to thaw. And when you go outside, there's the beautiful scent of dog shit in the air. You're walking on the sidewalk or you're going for a run. It's like, oh, I love this dog shit smell. Pick up after your fucking dog. Anyway, so Halloween Resurrection is a dog shit show of a movie. So Halloween Resurrection. I saw it, like I said, in the movie theater when I was 23 years old. And I remember thinking this consciously when I was in the movie theater. The very beginning of the movie, of course, you got the two nurses walking down the corridor on their way to Jamie Lee Curtis's room where one of the nurses is going to pop her some pills. And this is the moment where there's some exposition, right? There's some exposition here, you know, because you got to get everybody caught up. It's been 4 fucking years. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. You know, and for all intents and purposes, people thought Michael Myers was dead. So they had to invent some sort of sensational, ludicrous idea of how he survived. Well, here's where they're going to tell you what that ludicrous fucking idea is. Oh no, it wasn't Michael Myers that got his head chopped off. It was the paramedic. And because he had his voice box crashed, he couldn't say anything. Yeah, oh, okay. And as I'm watching this, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, but then that means that Michael Myers got fucking naked. He took everything off. He took his jumpsuit off. You know, he's standing there buck naked, presumably, I mean, unless he's got some tighty whities on, I have no idea. He's standing there naked, and he's taking the paramedic suit off of the paramedic who's dead weight. He's not dead, as we know, but he's dead weight, presumably unconscious, right? So, you know, he's taking this off. So now the paramedic is naked, or at least in his tighty whities. He didn't really strike me as the kind of guy that would wear boxers, okay? So there he is in his tighty whities. Michael Myers, maybe he's got some Hanes boxers on, I'm not sure. But you know what? He's probably nude. He's probably naked. So now the paramedic is in his tighty whities and Michael Myers is naked. If you walked by that, you'd be thinking, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what the hell is this? And he's got to put his jumpsuit back on the paramedic, and he's got to get into the paramedic's with a dead weight body that looked like he weighed 230 pounds. Oh yeah, people hook, line, and sinker. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Yeah, totally buy that. Oh, okay, that totally makes sense. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Really? And then you got to go back to the end of H2O, you know, and people are like, well, why didn't he say anything? Why didn't the paramedic say anything? Well, because he couldn't because of his voice. He couldn't because of his voice. He couldn't say anything. Couldn't say anything at all. He was still delirious. He was like, what's going on? Watch the end of H2O. Look at the guy's eye. Why didn't he reach up and take off his mask? So you mean to tell me that the paramedic, at no point in time, and I'm not talking about when he's leaning against the tree after being hit by the van, at no point in time does he think to take off the mask? I don't buy that. No, Dave. He was so delusional and he was so out of sorts that he couldn't speak, obviously. And he just was he didn't know what to do. He just was, yeah. And those are the people that you can make a shitload of Halloween movies for and put in the simplest, stupidest explanation. They'll go, oh, okay, I get it now. I can hear the thumbs down coming. Hey, okay, so, you know, it's like, fuck, really? And Michael Myers, he's got like an afro walking down the hallway trying to get Laurie Strode. And there he is. There's Laurie Strode. She looks out, and there he is, standing on the lawn with this brightly lit spotlight on his fucking face. And he's just standing there, you know, like this, you know, and it's like, the fuck, he's just all of a sudden, he just knows where she is. He just knows. He's the boogeyman. Well, he wasn't very much of a boogeyman in this fucking movie. He's walking down the hall and he busts through the door and he thinks he's got Laurie, but Laurie hits him with a fucking light or whatever it was. And then Laurie runs down the hall. Not very fast, mind you, but very reminiscent in the same sort of vein from like Halloween 2, 1981. And that probably was very cool for Rick Rosenthal and Jamie Lee Curtis to shoot. I'm sure they kind of had some quips back and forth about how, didn't we just do this like, 25 years ago? Anyway, so, or I guess no, it would have been 20 years ago at that time. So, and then Michael comes to the door and all of a sudden he's got this fucking afro. And I'm like, what the hell has he got this afro for? Was he electrocuted from the light? Was that the justification? Is that the justification that fans are, say, oh no, Dave, it's you fucking electricity from that light. Well, it looks fucking stupid if that's what it is. Because then when he gets to the roof door, he gets up the stairs, and as soon as he opens the door and he comes through the roof, his hair is slicked back. It's completely normal again. It's all perfectly fine. It's like he stopped at the door and was like, hang on a sec. Got his knife out and was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. And then he goes through the door and it's like, and the whole thing there with the trap. And then you realize, oh, that's why Laurie was on the roof all the time. And because she was setting a trap for him. And then he's hanging there and Laurie goes over, says, just one more time. I just gotta see. And then of course, it fails and she ends up getting stabbed in the back. And she kisses him and says, I'll see you in hell, and falls to her death. And I don't understand why she needed to kiss him. Even in 2002, I remember thinking to myself, that's weird. Can't you just say, I'll see you in hell, and then she just falls to his... why are you kissing him? A, it's your brother. B, what is it supposed to be that last sort of, even though you're a murderer, and even though you murdered my sister that I never knew about, and even though you murdered 3 of my high school friends, and even though you put me through fucking hell, well, you're still family, and I'm just gonna show you that we're still connected, we're still brother and sister, and we're still I don't give a fuck! I don't care if you're family or not! Fucking kick that fucking dick to the curb, man! Don't kiss him! Who fucking cares? Just say, I'll see you in hell! And why is it hell? Did Laurie do something weird between 1978 and 1998 that we don't know about? Was she herself? Was she herself a serial killer? And look, is the Michael Myers mask, is it better than the H2O mask? Sure, yes, okay. Is it better, or the 9 masks they seem to use in that movie? Is it better than the Halloween 5 mask? Yeah, sure, okay, but those are not exactly high bars, okay? It's like, do you want this shit pizza, or do you want this shit sandwich? Well, I'll take the shit sandwich. It's less shit. It's still shit. Listen, the Resurrection mask is it's like a hybrid. I mean, there's some nice things about it, but the problem is that no matter how good a mask looks, if you don't utilize it correctly, then it becomes mundane and just blends in and just, we're seeing Michael Myers too clearly. We see the mask so clearly, so early on, and so many people try to tell me, but we already know what he looks like. It has nothing to do with what he looks like. It has everything to do with his MO and his character and how he operates. It's one of the things that they did this in H2O, and they did it again in Resurrection. Where like he's hanging from the pipes or the bar or some bar or something. He's like lowering himself down. They did that again in Halloween Resurrection. I'm like, why are we seeing this? I don't need to see how Michael does his thing. I don't need to see how he gets from A to B. He just does. He's just there. That's it. And the fact that he's lowering himself and you see his feet dangling, it just feels weird. It just feels like something maybe Freddy would do or Jason would, not Michael Myers. To see him so clearly and to see his eyes, my God. I know we saw his eyes in H2O and we're seeing them again, left, right, and center in Resurrection. I don't need to see his eyes. And it has nothing to do with he has the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I mean, I know that that's part of it, but it goes deeper than that. There's a very specific reason why we're not supposed to see his eyes. And so, the mask is better, and it's more acceptable. And it's probably maybe the best looking mask we've seen in the sequels per se, outside of Halloween 2. But it's the dog shit movie that surrounds it that renders that obsolete anyway. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Because everything else around it is so much garbage. So, when Laurie Strode dies, when she falls to her death, that was the moment. That was it. That was the moment that the cord was cut. So what do I mean by that? Well, everything becomes new. The situations become new. The characters become new. The foundation becomes new. There's no emotional attachment anymore from the past. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, what about Michael Myers? Yes, he's that one constant, but he's the antagonist. Very rarely when we read books or watch movies do we become emotionally attached to the antagonist to the point where we are living vicariously through those characters. Very rarely, I'm not saying ever, but very rarely are the antagonists created for us to become emotionally attached to. We can think they're cool. We can think they're awesome. We can dress up like them. We can think they're like really cool and have t-shirts and, have masks. Absolutely. But it is the protagonists, the way stories are designed, it is the protagonists, generally speaking, that they are the ones that we live vicariously through. They are the ones that we root for. They are us in the story. They are us in the movie or whatever the case is. And when you remove the emotional attachment from the story, then we feel lost and we feel out of sorts. So yes, Michael Myers is that one constant, but if you change everything around him where it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie, doesn't look like a Halloween movie, doesn't sound like a Halloween movie, it's not executed like a Halloween movie, then Michael Myers becomes a lame duck and completely obsolete and pointless. He's completely expendable. Listen, even the shitty Halloween sequels, okay, what I consider to be shitty Halloween sequels, 5 and 6. I like 6 better than 5, but they're not great in my opinion. They still kind of feel like Halloween. They still kind of sound like Halloween. They still kind of look like Halloween with the Midwest fall vibe. And, you got Donald Pleasance and you got Alan Howarth's score and do you know what I mean? So you remove Michael Myers from those two movies and you're sitting there and you're thinking, something's missing. Do you know what I'm saying? And if you replace him with somebody else, and it suddenly pretend it's a different kind of movie, you'd watch that movie and you'd be like, you know, it kind of feels like a Halloween kind of movie. Do you know what I mean? But with Resurrection, there isn't that at all. Everything that surrounds him, his entire support system, the aesthetic, the appeal, the tone, is not there. There's no suspense. There's no, the music is garbage. You know, you got that typical rattlesnake, you know, thing that happens every 5 seconds when he walks into a room or something to that effect. The jump scares are lame. You got stupid shit that is relying on pop culture gimmicky trends and tropes for 2002. That's another big problem. Halloween Resurrection was very much like a Sims game, you know, or a video game. Like some kid was playing this. Like we're watching the video game play out. And Sims was really big back in 2002, by the way. I'll get back to my analogy on The Sims in a second, but that was part of the problem. It was so, the narrative was so reliant on 2002's current pop culture-y things and gimmicks and all that kind of stuff to help drive it forward that it became a distraction even in 2002, at least in my opinion. You know, you got reality TV and you got webcams and you get voting off the island. You're this close to getting voted off the island. I mean, kids today are probably like, what the fuck does that even mean? Getting voted off the island? They're in a fucking house. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, then we all knew what it meant, but now, I mean, who the fuck's watching Survivor? Well, I guess people are, but it's certainly not the hot item ticket that it was, you know, 16 years ago or 17 years ago now. Not at all. So, you know, it's just, it relies so much on that. It becomes so much of part of the driving narrative that it's just, it feels like I'm watching a lame duck Michael Myers walking around in a simulation. I mean, take the scene with Busta Rhymes, you know, and the whole Dangertainment thing. And of course, he has to dress up as Michael Myers because, as we know, the Dangertainment thing is a ruse. And he walks into the house, right? Because he's Michael Myers. But then the real Michael Myers walks up behind him, right? And he turns around and he's like, what the fuck, man? I'm Michael Myers. You're not Michael Myers. I'm fucking Michael Myers. You hear me? You hear me? And he's yelling at the top of his lungs so loudly that I'm surprised that nobody else in the house, because the Myers house is not a big house, folks. It's an old wartime home. I'm surprised nobody else in the house was like, is that Freddy? What the fuck is he doing? You know, and came, Freddy, what the fuck? He's yelling at the top of his lungs. And then what does Michael Myers do? Does he kill him? No, this is what Michael Myers does. What the fuck is that? He's like a fucking sim. Michael Myers is a sim walking around the Myers house. And every now and then, whoever is controlling this simulation, you know, comes across a character that you can kill and decides to kill them. But there's no suspense. There's no build up. The music is garbage. You know, we're watching half the movie through grainy, you know, ooh, but it's reality TV. It's the internet. It's 2002. It's the future. You know, and it's just like, oh, fuck, this is Halloween, people. Okay? I said it before, I'll say it again. Doesn't look like Halloween, doesn't feel like Halloween, doesn't play out like Halloween. I don't get this overall sense that there's this blanket of Halloween time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like it's Halloween time, even though there's a couple of shots of some kids trick-or-treating and some kids going up to the doorstep and placing a pumpkin there. What the fuck is that? Oh, that's just their way of saying, hey, in case you missed it, it's Halloween time. And that there lies the problem, because even in the shitty sequels, Halloween H2O aside, which I think for the most part is a fucking shitty sequel, you can't include it because it actually took place in California. It's not that they just shot it in California, but it was supposed to be the Midwest. No, it actually takes place in California. So you can't really include that in my point. But even in like Halloween 5 or 6, there was that blanket, you know, of that Halloween time, that autumn sort of feel. There's none of that in Halloween Resurrection at all. So Michael Myers becomes this lame duck. All of his support system, like I said, just becomes completely obsolete. And it's like I don't know what kind of movie he's in. I don't know what kind of movie this is, because it's not a fucking Halloween movie. Even the shitty sequels, like I said, there were those things you could kind of glom onto and pick out and go, oh, well, the music's good. Oh, well, that was a good shot. Well, the opening was really good. Always got to have some Donald Pleasance in there. There's certain things. And in H2O, which was a garbage sequel in terms of the Halloween look and feel and aesthetic and lighting and all that stuff, at least there's Jamie Lee Curtis. It's like that one like that goes by on somebody's live stream. You know, you're watching, you know, somebody live and the bloop, like one like will go by. That's Jamie Lee Curtis right there. And you're like, oh, well, at least I got you. At least I got you, damn it. You know what I'm saying? In this movie, she's gone in the first 15, 20 minutes. There's nothing left. It's just Michael Myers walking around in a simulation. And every now and then, the person in charge of the simulation decides to press A on their pad and all like starts to kill. It's garbage. I don't feel anything at all. And there's nothing, like, his support system's gone. I mean, this is actually not a bad premise if it had nothing to do with Halloween or Michael Myers, because there's nothing proprietary about it. That's the thing. You could take the premise of Halloween Resurrection and change who the serial killer is and change up the house, but have everything else play out the same, and you don't lose anything, right? I mean, there's certain things you have to change, obviously, where they mention Michael Myers' name and where they might, but you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, there's nothing there, like, and actually, if you had done that, if you had just changed those things, maybe it might not have been a bad early 2000s horror movie. But Michael Myers just seems so awkward in this movie. Why the fuck is he in this movie? There's nothing Halloween about this movie at all. You know, and Busta Rhymes, my God, you know, they're trick or treat, motherfucker. Why is he doing that? It doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel like something you would naturally do. I understand that he's into kung fu and karate movies, and that's foreshadowed by, you know, him watching those things at, you know, at the hotel. I get, but why? Why have that anyway? Why not just have him punch Michael Myers in the face? Which, you know, that alone is kind of like, oh, can you really punch the boogeyman in the face, right? But at least it seems more of a natural thing you would do in a situation like that. Like, who the hell in a situation like that is going to get all fucking Karate Kid from the 80s? I mean, come on, I make the sound. I mean, like, really? You have to go, I mean, come on, right? You know, well, Dave, that's what he learned from watching those movies. Well, he's a fucking idiot. That's what he is, okay? I mean, at least try to swing at him and maybe you'll miss or something. But no, he drop kicks Michael Myers through the fucking window on the top floor of his own fucking house, and there he falls and he's dangling on the fucking, you know, porch, sitting there, and it's like, what the fuck am I watching? What the hell is going on here? And then, of course, he cuts himself loose and he escapes and he comes in and he stabs Freddy, and we think he's dead. And Sarah and Michael are in the garage, and you see his eyes way too fucking much. And of course, when the fire is lit, you're seeing him all, you know, bright and everything, and he's there, and you see his eyes. I mean, when Freddy bursts through the door, the look on Michael Myers' face, you can actually see and feel a look of, what the fuck? I thought you were dead. You can actually feel that that body language from Michael Myers, and you can actually see it almost through the mask of, what the fuck, I thought I killed you. Watch the ending to that movie. It's like, what the fuck, Mike, come on. Michael Myers is calm, cool, and collected. Always in control. At least he always thinks he is, okay? He's calculated. He's a fucking great white shark. You know, he's not gonna go, what the fuck? Holy shit, how did you get in here, Freddy? Boom, boom, boom. I mean, come on, okay? And of course, that's where he's like, trick or treat, motherfucker. And then he hits Michael with something, and Michael falls into the wires, and he's about to burn and all that kind of shit. And then he helps Sarah up, but instead of getting Sarah to her feet, he picks Sarah up and puts her on his shoulder, which I never understood, because it's like, Sarah, I mean, sure, she was under something and maybe she needed a bit of help because it was too heavy to get off her, or, you know, the position that she was in, but I never got the impression that she couldn't, at the very least, get to her feet and hobble out of the garage, because 5 seconds later, when she's outside anyway, she's walking around like everything's fine. So I never understood why he puts, I mean, okay, granted, she's easy on the eyes, and I always saw that, I guess, as, oh, girl's got a nice ass, man. And he just wants to show all of you how nice Sarah's ass is. So he picks her up, puts her on the shoulder, and just like, all that was missing was, yeah, bitch, fuck you, Mikey, and then running out of the garage. That's literally all that was missing, because I'm like, why is he picking her up and putting her on his shoulder? It just seemed a little unnecessary. It seemed a little, what did they say today, extra? I mean, it just seemed completely unnecessary. It just is like, I think she could probably, and it has nothing to do with female empowerment or anything like that. It just has everything to do with the situation. She just seemed like she might have been maybe, you know, under something, but she could certainly walk out of the garage, for Christ's sakes. Just seemed a little too like, yeah, that's right, bitch, with my fucking woman and biceps and fuck you, motherfucker. It just seemed a little like, fuck, I don't need this in a house. What movie is this? It's just like just one long Busta Rhymes music video. That's like what it fucking seems like. It's like, holy shit, like, can this thing end? Do you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's so many other things too. Like, I will say this. It was nice to see a cameo from Rick Rosenthal, of course, who played the professor at the beginning of the movie. And that was always nice to see. You know, I will say I like to give credit where credit is due. And it was nice that they actually reconstructed the outside of the original Myers house. Now, all of that was shot on a soundstage. I think in Vancouver, but I stand to be corrected on that. Nonetheless, it was definitely a soundstage, and the interiors of the house too were also a soundstage as well. Because ordinarily, when you're building a home, you'll build the outside of it and maybe the sides of it as well, and maybe, you know, a bit of the top, but you won't necessarily reconstruct the entire interior, because if you're going to shoot in the home, you have to compensate for lights. So, you know, and, grids. And of course, you construct the home to be a bit bigger because you have to factor in dolly tracks and cameras and angles and all that kind of shit. So usually when they're rebuilding a home, they will actually construct each room separately, which is what I think they did here. So, but they did a good job. I mean, you know, if it's too bad that wasn't the house in Halloween 5, because we totally would have bought that. That would have been like, oh, cool. That would have been one less shitty thing about Halloween 5. That would have been a little bit of shit moved off the sandwich. That would have been, oh, look, you can see a little bit of tomato. You know what I'm saying? But no, of course not. The production designer and the director were fucking on acid when they fucking chose that house. So, you know, I mean, cool, okay, but everything around it is so chintzy and cheesy and gimmicky that I just can't get into it. It just doesn't feel like, what the fuck am I watching? And the whole high school kids thing, and how he's the only one that, no, somebody died. No, I mean, I was laughing with the other kids going, dude, calm the fuck down. Like you're overselling it now, okay? Like, no, he just has this feeling. He knows he's connected. And it's like, oh, fuck, you know? And I never got the sense that Dangertainment was this big thing being broadcast, and it was so popular and so hyped up that everybody was tuning in, because even the fucking kids at the Halloween party didn't give a fuck about it, because he's the only one that walks into the office and sits down and, you know, in front of the computer. And then of course, everybody eventually gets into it who comes into the room, a handful of people, maybe 10, 15 people. But that's by default. It's because they came in because, oh, you know, what's going on in there? Nobody cared about it. If he hadn't gone in there and turned on the computer, it's not like somebody at the party would have been like, hey man, you guys want to go check out that Dangertainment? Watch Michael Myers and shit. Like nobody, it's not happening. You know, nobody cares about it. It's just this one little guy, you know, who goes on and, you know, so I never got a sense that Dangertainment was the big epic moneymaker that Freddy was hoping it was and would be. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, how much would it cost to show a few people online really, you know, getting into it? Holy fuck. I mean, I could go on. And listen, this is not an attack on Rick Rosenthal, okay? Look, are there creative decisions that he made that I don't agree with, that I would have done things differently? Yes, absolutely. But you know what? This comes down to a shitty script. He was given a script, okay, you have to make this movie. All right, well, if you give me shit, I can't exactly turn shit into ice cream, so there's only so much I can do, you know, to try and, you know, now I don't know how he felt about the script. Maybe he loved it, but I'm just saying from my perspective, it's not an attack on him. You know, filmmaking is a collaborative effort, and there's a lot of creative decisions that were made that I don't agree with, and it starts with the writing. It starts with the story, because there's nothing in there. It's the fundamental problem with Halloween Resurrection is it relied too heavily on the current, at that time, pop culture-y, gimmicky, chintzy things to help drive the narrative forward, after cutting the cord from the emotional attachment from the past, and now Michael Myers is just this lame duck. So really what they should have done is they should have just left Halloween H2O alone and forgot totally about Halloween Resurrection, because I don't even know what kind of fucking Halloween movie Resurrection is supposed to be. That is the crux of the fundamental problem, and then you can stem from there and talk about the details, some of which I've talked about here. But that is the crux of the problem. And we don't need a sequel to Halloween Resurrection. We don't need a Halloween 9. Listen, at the end of Resurrection, Michael Myers is lying there on the table, and just before it cuts to black, he opens his eyes, right? It's like this. Oh my God, what's gonna happen? Oh my God, he's still alive, he's still alive. No, he's not alive. You see, what you didn't see was the extra 10 seconds. They should have let it go an extra 10 seconds, because what actually happens is Michael Myers has a heart attack. That's what happens. He opens his eyes, and this is what actually happens. And that's what happens. And, you know, the lady there is like, is he really dead? And she takes the stethoscope and she's like, let's see here. Yes, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead, everybody. He's actually dead this time. That's what you missed. You see, if they actually kept the camera rolling, if they didn't cut to black, you know, that's what you would have seen. So you see, in the darkness of the blackness of space, that you don't see that he actually has a massive cardiac arrest. So there you go. You don't need one. Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. What do you think of Halloween Resurrection? Where do you think they should have gone? Are you like me and think they just should not have made a Halloween Resurrection? Comment below and let me know your thoughts. My name's Dave McRae. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time when I'm not posting here. All the links are in the description. Links to my Patreon, my merch store, my official website, my IMDb, my Twitter. It's all down there. Check it out until your heart's content. And yeah, God, I could keep going, but for the sake of time, because this is an epic long rant, I'll stop there. But that is the crux of the problem. Fuck. It's a Sims game. Halloween Resurrection's a fucking Sims game. No, you go, you get the fuck out of here. You just go get the fuck out of here, Mikey. Okay. What the fuck?